another episode of Ian is a Weirdo or Ian is Weird, depending on where you're watching this from. Right now, I am making a packer, and and yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Funny story: I'm in a knit and crochet group through this old uh, IOP mental health program that I was in, and and someone someone was like, "Oh, Ian's always making penises," and I was like, "I make a lot more than just penises, but usually when I'm on here, I'm making like fulfilling packer orders or something like that. But nope, just have a reputation for making dicks." Um, but I do make a lot more than that. If you did not know. But today we're not talking about that. We are talking about dreams, ambitions, being doing doing things, which I know is not specific, but if you read the title of this video, maybe that will be helpful. Um, Now, this question came about because there's a lot of crafty and like crochet things that I want to do, and you know, I always am thinking about what I want to crochet, how I want my crochet business to go, what satisfies me and makes me happy to crochet, and not just crochet, but also sew and other types of crafts that I get really excited about. So I wanted to see what other like ambitions and things people had, because I think that it's so cool that there are so many people with so many different ambitions with their craftiness. And the thing is, you do not have to have a business to be crafty or to do crafts. Like, I want to make that very clear. Like, for a lot of people, it's just a fun hobby that they do and they enjoy it. Making it into a business is not feasible for them, or it would take the fun out of it for them. I totally understand that. No judgment on my part for that, because if that's what you want to do, then that's fine. That's cool. But some people, either by choice or due to circumstances, um, have to, you know, do use their crafts and their hobbies to make money. It's part of their livelihood, or it's their entire livelihood. So I just was curious to see what other people had, what kind of thoughts other people had, not to take them for my own, obviously, but just to support each other's dreams. And granted, we might have some dreams that are out there that are likely never going to happen because of money or because of just like situations and things like that, that you have to consider. And, I don't want to take away from anyone's um, experience because they have to do crochet for a business, or because they don't have the resources to make the business that they want to make, whether that be time, whether that be money, whether that be physical space, to do the types of crafts that they want to do. For example, with the physical space, like I'm dyeing my own yarn, and it just takes up a lot of room. It's very messy, and it's just a lot. So, um, I think that it would just be really cool to see what other people's ideas of craft businesses would look like. So I can start talking about my ideas that I have for myself, things that are within my reach, things that are not within my reach. And if you want to chime in and talk about things that you want to do, maybe you're working on it, maybe it's been in progress and you're continuing that dream. Or maybe again, you can just say like, I'm not interested in making my crafted business. It's a hobby, and I want it to stay a hobby. I don't want to make it a job, and that's super, 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 super valid. Um, I guess one thing, talking about yarn dyeing, is I want to, I am seeing a gap in things that I want made, And I feel like it's important to me to be able to make those things that I want to make for myself. And if other people happen to want them, totally cool, super fun, fine. But really, it's just because I have yarn that I want. Sorry, I don't know what just happened there. Um, and well, I know what happened: residual sickness and allergies. Um, but like you're not um, obligated to have the same dreams and wants and things that I do. Okay, yarn dyeing. Sorry, I got off topic. Uh, this never happens to me, I swear. I'm just kidding. It happens all the time. Okay, I have a bag of opened black fiber fill, and I do not know where it is. I thought I grabbed it, but I suppose I grabbed the wrong thing, which would be unusual for me, right? Sorry about this. I thought I was prepared. I was like, ooh, look at me, so prepared. I'm amazing. And then, nah. But anyways, okay. Open black fiber fill. Um, so for me, I'm just making things that I want to see made. And I'm trying to make them affordable. One thing for me is that hand dyed yarn, usually is in like a quality wool, or like wool mix or some kind of, fancier yarn. And I like using value yarn and, cheaper cotton. And I use a lot of like more affordable products for me, and therefore I don't get the same options in like amazing yarn. Uh, and then also a lot of my wearables are in cotton because that is um, more comfortable year round. And I I don't find as many uh, cotton color and colorways that are what I'm looking for, if that makes sense. So for me, finding just a resource that is attainable and affordable is really challenging. So one of the things I'm doing now, so I recently, if you saw my post on Army of Weirdos today, um, I I am dyeing yarn right now, and I'm dyeing it for my crochet top that I'm going to be making for Pride. And I really wanted like a neon rainbow. But the rainbow yarn that I was able to find just wasn't really fitting what I wanted. I wanted something really vibrant. I wanted something very bright and just kind of like boom, pow in your face. I've seen yarns dyed like this in wool and things like that, but it's going to be the end of June, and so it's going to be super hot here in North Carolina. So wearing wool is not an option, and wearing acrylic is not an option. The past couple years I've worn acrylic to Pride, and I end up as a puddle of sweat. It's so I just feel so gross by the end of Pride. Even as I show up to Pride, I'm like, and I'm drinking water the whole time, and I'm sweating it out immediately. So, so yeah, I really lost my train of thought. Wow. So yeah, part of my yarn dyeing. So now I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna make a wearable, I'm gonna make it in cotton, most likely, because it's just gonna be so much more comfortable. I'm tired of being uncomfortable and sweaty and hot at Pride. So let me just make the things that I actually want to make in, cotton colors. However, I do run into a significant problem with more lightweight wearable fibers like cotton and bamboo. and the color range that they offer, especially with bamboo, but even with cotton having as many options as it does, which there are a lot of cotton options across all different websites. Um, Finding the cotton colorway that I'm looking for is very, very difficult. So I kind of wanted to make like a neon, like Mexicana, basically from Red Heart, but I wanted it in cotton, and I wanted it in just kind of brighter, louder colors, um, and maybe uh, less. It didn't like cycle as fast, or maybe it cycles faster. We'll see. But I just wanted to have that like really bright effect because I'm making basically like a mesh top, but it's gonna have it's gonna have a skull in it, and it's really cool. I'm really excited to try the pattern, um, but I just didn't see a way that I could make the top the way I wanted to make the top without dyeing my own yarn, because I'm going to be wearing a black binder underneath. I wanted something really vibrant that would stand out against that. And granted, I do have vibrant cottons like these. It's really, really bright lime green that is not as close to my hair as I thought it was. So when I put it next to it, I was like, no, not it. But so that's part of the reason why I'm dyeing my own cotton right now. And I've dyed some of the trans colors and stuff like that because I really wanted just to have options. And it's right here. I don't know where my trans yarn worked up. Actually, it is right here. So this is it just like worked up in a knitting machine, which I don't really like cotton in a knitting machine, but I just kind of wanted to see like the color dispersal. And so this is the trans colorway that I used, and I just used a tie-dye kit. So there are definitely improvements that could be had. Could add more pink, you know, could keep more white portions. But it's pretty good for my first attempt, and I did do a second attempt where I felt a little bit better about it. Um, but I thought that this was a really nice place to start, and I felt a lot more confident going into my rainbow dye. And I didn't use the dye kit because I wanted to make sure I had enough for not only the top that I'm making, but in the same colorway, but in a different yarn. I'm going to be making a like lacy parasol, which pray for me. I've never done lace before, so I'm really, really nervous about fucking this up. But I got one of those big balls of mercerized cotton, which I've heard mixed things about dyeing mercerized cotton because it doesn't take the color the same way as unmercerized cotton. However, when you get to a really, really thin um, cotton, you kind of need it to be mercerized. I've been doing more research about the mercerization process and everything that's done because I was like, maybe I can remove like the mercerized layer or something like that. I don't know. But it turns out, thin cotton really needs it because it helps strengthen the yarn. And so I was like, okay, sure, okay, whatever. Was kind of my response. Um, but um, sorry, I'm trying to multitask, and that never usually goes well. So I'm just trying to make cotton. I'm just trying to make yarn that I'm not seeing out there. There are a few yarn dyers that do use cotton, um, but it's still around the same price as their dyed wool, and so I don't really know. Like, it's hard to kind of get like the thickness of the cotton, just like the weight of the cotton. It's really hard for me to kind of gather all that information, and I'm still not finding what I want. And I would rather dye my own yarn the way I want it than do anything else with it. So that's what I'm going to give a go, and we'll see how it works. If it's a bust, then I will find another option. But if it's not, then it could be really cool, right? So, and I even thought that the parasol, I thought about dyeing it with, like dyeing it after I put it on after I worked it up. But there are problems that can come along with that. So I decided not to do that. And I know that there are some yarns out there like the Hobie, like cakes that have like the big rainbows in it that are beautiful. And I always think that they work up so nice. But I'm also, with that, I get worried about not having enough, like not being able to, the project is too small to be able to see all of the colors of the rainbow. um, and that is not my ideal situation, because if I'm going to do rainbow, I want you to be able to see all of the colors of the rainbow. So yeah, I that's why I didn't go with like a cotton cake from Hobie. Even though they're beautiful, they always work up really lovely. It was really important for me to get all the colors of the rainbow. So part of one of my business ventures is to dye yarn. I think that would be cool. Would I want to do it for everyone all the time? Would I want to be like a full-time yarn dyer? I don't know, probably not with my current setup, but maybe eventually that would be cool. And this is just about dreaming. It's not necessarily about what's practical, what's easy, what's financially reasonable, even. But it can be just fun to kind of think about things that we would do as with a crochet business, or with any kind of crafty business. Um, Another thing that I'm really passionate about that I really would like to pursue more is, just like with this packer, making items that are gender affirming, that are made for the LGBTQ plus community, that really have their needs and interests in mind, so that they can get, they can have access to affordable products. Bring affordable products and items that make people happy would be my ultimate dream, right? So I that's why I focus on making my packers as affordable as I can. Unfortunately, a lot of my packer business goes through Etsy, or doesn't go through Etsy, and shipping is just outrageous. Like, shipping is so expensive, um, and so it hikes up my price a lot. And usually a packer takes me about 2 to 3 hours to make. I think it depends on like striping and how in it I am. So I really wish I could like make them even more affordable, but unfortunately, I just can't. But I think about when I ordered my silicone packer, it was like, um, I don't know, it wasn't cheap, and I even got like a cheaper one, but it wasn't cheap. And then when I got it and I wore it, I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is so heavy. Um, I don't know how I'm gonna wear this all the time and be comfortable. And also, made me so sweaty because silicone against your skin, that in a place that gets hot, oh my gosh, a bit of a nightmare if I'm being honest. Um, so uh, let me cut this. And this is the Hobie Friend Cotton 88. So usually I use a 4-weight yarn to do this, but I had a really hard time finding a good range of skin tones in 4-weight cotton, and I needed cotton for this project. Again, another opportunity, another instance where I need cotton yarn, but finding a good range of colors in that cotton yarn is very difficult. So dyeing my own 4-weight yarn makes sense to me. But To get the multitude of shades of skin tones is pretty difficult. So I, luckily was able to find that Hobie had a really good number of colors, but it just happens to not be like the ideal weight I like to use, but it's not that bad. So if you're in the chat, if you're hanging out with me, if you have any dreams, aspirations, even just like fever dreams of like, this would be so cool to do, not reasonable at all, never going to be able to afford it. Or if you just, don't want your crochet to become a business and you just want, to keep it as a hobby, talk about that too, because I think that's a super valuable, sing, and I think that that's totally fine. I am trying to sew up the tip, and it's looking a little weird, if I'm being honest. It's very weird shape. It's not that weird shape. Actually, it worked out pretty well. I feel like I need to pack it a little bit more. But people have been saying that I've been packing things too full lately, but I feel like this is not full enough. I'm just going to go in and put a little bit of packing in there. Some packing peanuts. Um, so, um, yeah, I'm just trying to be what the people are requesting. And, but yeah, let's put a little bit more in there. I keep on grabbing the closed bag because it looks open because it was compressed down. So yeah, so for me, one of them is dyeing just yarn that I want to see made. It doesn't really, there are so many beautiful yarns out there, and I will never ever like. I mean, there's so much selection that we have now that even a couple years ago we didn't have. That I'm like eternally like grateful for that, and I don't disparage like the yarn um, dying community for not having that available. It's just having affordable options aren't always there. So affordability is just something that kind of goes across the board for me. I don't ever want to like I don't want to be unaffordable for people because that's just not something that I desire to be like to make like luxury bougie yarn, which if you want to make, or like luxury bougie items, which is if that's what you want to make, totally fine. And also crochet takes a lot of time, so like don't feel like I'm saying this because I think you're overcharging or anything like that. But for me, like affordability is a huge part of what I want to do. So so that's just my ambition, my goal is to make affordable items for folks. So that includes dyeing cotton, which there's not a huge, as far as I've heard from, other dyers, there's not as much of a market for it because it's more expensive than just buying cheap cotton. There are a lot of cotton options out there, but they're not the ones that I'm looking for, if that makes sense. And so with that, I try to really make sure that I um, am making exactly what my vision is, and then I can get exactly what I want made, if that makes sense. Um, so that is one thing. And then, um, like I said, making affordable, gender affirming, LGBTQ plus focused items is really important to me because I just think that there are so many expensive options out there. If there are options at all, they are expensive. And for me, that's just not something I have a lot of desire to do, is to make something expensive, unaffordable, unattainable, what have you. I don't have that desire. I want to make it affordable so that people can buy it because I don't have a lot of money. I don't expect people to have a lot of money. Um, and so, how could I? honestly. Uh, if uh, if I don't have money, how can I expect people to spend a lot of money? But everybody's different, and that's fine. That's cool. We all have different dreams, aspirations. Like I said, a lot of people, they can't afford to have a hobby and a business, so they have to make their hobby their business, or maybe that's what they rely on for their well-being, and that's totally fine too. I never want to, like I said, disparage anyone else from doing what they want to do, if that's what they want to do or have to do, you know. So yeah, uh, I think something else I really want to get into is doing more sewing of not just fabric, but I also want to get into like leather working and stuff like that, all encompassed by that idea of making inaccessible and very expensive items that are for the queer community. Um, all of a sudden, now they're more accessible and affordable. To me, that's so important, and I have such high that's so important to me that I can't really imagine me performing any kind of business in any other way. And I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, surprise, I don't make sense. Wow, crazy. So yeah, I think that like I always have a lot of irons in the fire when it comes to um, making things, because I just love making crafts. I love crocheting. I love doing all of this. So it's really fun for me to think about all of the ways I could capitalize on that. And when I talk about making money doing stuff, it's really just to maintain doing that craft. And I know that's the um, not in everyone's wheelhouse, nor is it in everyone's capability to do. So there's no judgment for anyone who does it for any other reason. But for me, I just think that I would really like to be able to just afford doing what I like to do, and that's pretty much it. I don't need to be a self-made millionaire or whatever. Like that's why I do YouTube to like hang out with you all. Like clearly, like I'm never gonna get monetized because I cuss like a sailor, and I'm okay with that. I think there was at one point I was trying to get monetized, and I was really focused about numbers and things like that. And eventually, I had to stop focusing on that because it was making me miserable. It was making me not enjoy doing YouTube and making videos and content and whatnot. So for me, I just would rather I'd rather this looks way bigger than 3 inches. And I don't know if it's just the dimensions are different because of the thickness of the shop or what. I'll just take a little quick measure. Okay, so it ended up being like 4 inches. That worked out. It's supposed to be 3. Yeah, so 4 inches. Damn it. Okay, maybe I can just like put some stuffing into the walls and then take measurement from a different point. Yeah, put the tab like right here instead. Okay, yeah, we're gonna make it work, people. So those are some of my ambitions. Leatherworking is a newer one, but I think that for me, there are so many things that I want that are made out of leather that I can't really find. if they exist, and if they do exist, they are prohibitively expensive for me. Whereas if I made them, maybe I could make them for a more affordable price, um, just for me. And then if other people wanted them, that would be cool too. Just so I didn't buy all the materials just to make like one thing. But I do think it would be really cool to make leather items, to be able to sew more. I know I want to make um, the mastectomy pillows, not out of leather, but out of cotton. And, for me, those are really important to give back to my community. And not only can they be used for a one time use for someone who's having this done, but they can be reused by other members of the community and paid forward and things like that. Um, because I think that's really important, that we all support each other and, build each other up and make things more accessible for people. I, if I was looking to make, a quick buck, I would be making a lot of different items than I'm currently making. But um, when I came back to YouTube, it was all about me making what made me feel good rather than what made what sold or what looked good or anything like that. I felt like that was more important to me, to just kind of be myself. And myself happens to be someone who's very odd, who likes making really odd things. And I'm okay with that. I understand the value and the qualities of making, items that people use more frequently or tend to associate more with crochet. But for me, that's just not really what I wanted to do. And I, hope that's fine. If it's not, fuck, shit, well, whatever. But yeah. So if you have any crafty or crochet ambitions or dreams about things you could do, even if it's you want to make baby blankets and donate them to a NICU, things like that. They don't have to be money making ventures for them to be a business or um, for them to be valuable in our society. Donating hats, um, like we all know Sunita makes hats for Hat Not Hate. It makes a ton of hats and donates them. That's amazing. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. And we need things like that just as much as we need, you know, items that people tend to pay for. Um, like I joined a group that does that makes plarn out of plastic bags, and they um, they they make sleeping mats for the unhoused, and I'm like, that's amazing, and it's a lot more accessible for a lot of people to make those things because a lot of people have plastic bags, than have yarn. So you can get a crochet hook, you can just go for it, and that's really cool. So even if you don't have a money making business idea for what you would like to do with crochet and where you would like to take it, you can still have a really amazing dream that's worth talking about and worth exploring. So I just kind of wanted to see where everyone else's head was at with all this. And um, are you a yarn dyer? Are you a yarn spinner? Are you, what interest do you have, and would you ever want a business out of it, or would you just want to kind of keep it um, to like yourself, or kind of what are your hopes with this? And I don't think it's bad to have hopes and dreams, even if you know to some degree that they're not possible, because it keeps us pushing forward, and maybe, who knows, one day it could be possible. So um so yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you're enjoying the Everyday in May series. I feel like we had a good uh, crowd going for the first couple days, and then I know I fell off for a couple days being sick. So I think people just got off cycle, but I'm hoping we can get that crowd back, because I felt like we had a lot of great discussions, and I'm really looking forward to having those in the future. But if this series it's just me talking to myself, then that's cool too. You know, like I said, not every idea and thing is gonna attract every single person. That's okay. You know, it's okay to have those things that are just for yourself, even if you didn't intend for them to be just for yourself. It's okay if they're just for yourself. So I just finished up this packer. I think that's a lot better size. Tuck in a little lighter stuffing right there. Okay, and so I've got my little packer, and I'm going to put this in the mail, and then have some therapy. So I hope you all have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.